Hi, everyone, and welcome to NetElixir's A Marketer's Guide to the Google Search Generative Experience. My name is Samantha, and I'm the Event Marketing Manager here at NetElixir. For today's agenda, we'll be going over some key metrics to understand the new Search Generative Experience, SG's impact on organic performance, how AI is transforming SEO, some actionable insights to ensure relevance, recommendations for preparing for SGE. We'll have Amazon Prime Day Deal Day 1 trends, and we'll go through NetElixir's holiday e-commerce marketing calendar, which you'll be able to download. And before we end, we'll leave some time for questions. So please drop any questions you might have in that chat box, and we'll answer as many as we can. A little bit about us. Our digital marketing specialists have been perfecting a growth formula for more than 19 years. We help brands redefine their search marketing strategy using a combination of AI-powered tools and real-time consulting. Our team's expertise has allowed us to be a part of Google's leadership circle. We're among just 27 agencies out of 10,000 in the US, and we're the only one from New Jersey. With that distinction, we're proud to work directly with the Google team, of course, and we are a certified minority business enterprise through the National Minority Business Council. Today's speakers, I'd like to introduce NetElixir's Director of SEO, Silas, and Senior Director of Digital Media Strategies, Manish. Before we get officially started, we have a quick poll question. Are you running your SEO in-house or outsourced? Let me launch that. Oh, wow, great. We got a lot in-house. There we go. So we are ending with in-house around 60%, just over 60% of the audience. Great, so hopefully lots to learn today. Let me share that. And with that, Silas, I kick that off to you.
Awesome, thank you, Sam. So really quickly, I'll just get into what search generative experience is. The way I would put it is if you take all of your traditional rich search results, things like people also ask, quick answers, featured snippets, the more in-depth responses Google is trying to provide for users, and the more interactive element per se, as far as responses actually being more conversational, that's sort of the approach that Google's trying to refine and give greater depth for users. But as opposed to the more static elements of people also ask, where you expand a response, and as you continue to expand, you get more response, you now have sort of a live evolving element within search engines where you can continuously put in more and more refined prompts and get updated responses for every new and revised prompt. And this has significantly changed the landscape as far as what level of pertinence quality content plays, making sure you have shared experiences of users, making sure you have authoritative content. All those elements are much more important now in terms of making sure your site is part of this ongoing and live evolving conversation that users are having within the new search engine experience. So there are a couple of elements to keep in mind here when we look at the performance and how likely you are with your website to benefit from search generative experience. One of the number one things to look at is having that content quality in place, because the way search generative experience functions is it'll aggregate content from various sites that it believes are answering the question from a user. And with each new refined prompt, a different segment of sites will be pulled from to aggregate a new response. In order to be pulled to help Google aggregate these responses, your content needs to provide the quality information. This links back to an algorithm update that Google launched last year, the helpful content algorithm update, roughly around August to September. And then a second end of that same algorithm update launched this year, 1 year later, roughly around August into September. And there's an important update within that helpful content algorithm update where we added an extra E to the traditional EAT, expertise, authority, trustworthiness. Those are three traditional elements that have been in place since 2019. But now we have experience. Google very much considers content that has firsthand account or firsthand experience with products, information, or services on a site. That type of content is significantly more likely to be pulled to appear in these aggregated responses. Another element to look at is the relevance and freshness of your content. So how informative is your content? How much does it answer the questions users are asking? How much does it continue to answer questions with each new refined prompt? In addition to that is freshness. With a lot of SEO ranking, we've traditionally looked at what we call evergreen content, content that continues to be relevant year after year for the same topics. But now we're not exactly disregarding evergreen content, but we're much more prioritizing content that is up to date and fresh and on top of new topics, so we continue to be part of the evolving conversation within search generative experience. And going in line with expertise, authority, trust, particularly authority, we're also looking at the popularity of a website. So how much do users like the shopping or service or product experience your site offers? Very important factor in terms of actually being pulled for these aggregate responses. So now we're going to look at how search generative experience will actually impact your performance on the organic channel and tactics you should implement to ensure that performance trends upward as opposed to downward. So one thing we're looking at is a much tighter race in terms of competition. So again, Google is not just pulling your site as the answer for a featured snippet or a people also ask or a quick answer, right? It's not just one domain being pulled for an answer. This is an aggregate answer where Google has to look at multiple sites to AI generate its own response based on the information out there. So the likelihood of being part of that response, one of the aggregate domains, is significantly more difficult. In addition to that, this search generative experience is where people will likely live when they're served the experience. And with each refined prompt, they're still within the fold that includes search generative experience. And each refined prompt could pull a new segment of domains to create the new aggregate response. So not only do you want to make sure your domain pops up for that initial aggregate response, but does it continue to pop up for refined prompts where Google's might have to serve like slightly variant answers based on the same topic, but still it has to pull different content. Does your site continue to provide the content needed for the refined prompt, the refined aggregate response? Another thing, and this is a big thing, just as with traditional rich search results, featured snippets, people also ask, where you take up a lot of real estate on the page and push down other styles of more old-fashioned organic results, meta title, description, 1, 2, and 3. Search generative experience is now also going to push down all other responses. It will take up all the real estate. It will be the entire first fold on the screen, particularly for mobile devices. And that's important to keep in mind because mobile devices is where people tend to have a much more conversational approach in their searches, especially with items like voice search. So this is going to make a traditional shift as far as what is best practice in SEO, right? We've always looked at conversational content. Now conversational content will be, do we build upon our own content? Are we ensuring our seat in that aggregate response for refined prompts in a continuous and consistent manner? So as far as tactics we want to employ, some things that AI can do for us to make sure we benefit from search generative experience is we can look for ways to create personalized search results. And AI is great at looking at search history, demographic elements like location and behavior to allow us to get personalized results. So we need to take advantage of these items and our own demographic research internally with the data we have to ensure that the content we create genuinely captures this user intent, right? This personalized intent and our revised content and continually revised content. Going back again to voice search optimization. It was a couple of years ago where it was projected that voice search would play a much stronger role, and it didn't pick up as much as was anticipated at the time. But with this new search generative experience, it is anticipated that voice search will play a much stronger role moving forward. So make sure your content is optimized for just really natural language processing to ensure that you're capturing that user intent and your language is really speaking to people as opposed to simply discussing on some abstract topic. So now we'll touch upon what actions e-customers or e-sites can take in order to ensure that they remain relevant in this evolving landscape. So again, we've been talking about this all the way up to this point, is optimizing content to ensure your seat in that aggregated response carousel within search generative experience. So what are ways that you can build upon your own content internally? Content that's already performing, your evergreen content, but also making sure you continually have fresh content. Another important thing here is optimizing your internal linking. So it's easier to build content hubs so that if Google needs to find that renewed content, you can do so by having easy internal linking for that new content, that fresh content to be found. Another thing you can do to make sure your content builds its authority is use tertiary channels you may have built into your capabilities, such as your social media platforms. So if you have content you're developing with any kind of regularity on any kind of calendar, ensuring that content is posted with regularity in your social media platform so you bring in a larger audience that interacts and engages with your content so Google sees you have authoritative content and is more likely to pull for these aggregate responses in search generative experience. And then on top of all these tactics, number one thing you want to do, as with any effort to improve performance, is monitor performance. Where are you seeing bumps with this new search generative experience? Where are you seeing traffic increase? What terms that you traditionally had authority for are you losing authority, and what terms are you gaining authority for, in order to know where your strong content lies and how you can capitalize on that, and how you can repeat these successes in order to, again, ensure your continued experience and your continued appearance in the search generative experience aggregate results. So the recommendations we'll leave you with is, one, you need to invest in building your authority. What are topics where you need to make sure your brand is an authority that search engines and users go to rely on for informing them on the products they want or the service they want? Another thing, and this goes back to the new E in expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, experience. The significance of entities as far as the person, so things like reviews, firsthand accounts, but also schemas, so the application of structured data to make sure Google can quickly and efficiently find the high-level content at once and index it in SERPs. It was effective for traditional rich search results, and it should continue to be effective for search generative experience results and increasing your likelihood of being pulled for those aggregate responses. Going back to persons, prioritizing your user-generated content. So if you don't already have some venue of reviews enabled on your site, ensuring those are enabled, making sure the content users generate is crawlable, and making sure you're interacting with users through channels where you can, through things like Google My Business, or through any chat medium on your site, or responding to any good or bad reviews for products and services. The more you interact with those, the more Google will see your authority, and the more Google's likely to find and pull those first-hand account or review or user-generated content items and index them and pull you for search results. And again, making sure you're implementing the proper schema so Google can find and index all this material. And lastly, making sure your site is optimized for mobile user experience. So in addition to content-related algorithm updates over the past several years, several algorithm updates have been related to prioritizing sites that offer a good mobile experience. Core Web Vitals in 2021, but also mobile first indexing first launched in 2017 and added to this year. Make sure we have a clean and speedy experience on our site, significantly increased likelihood of being pulled for voice search, and therefore for those conversational searches users pull on their mobile devices. Now we've gone through search generative experience, we're going to go through some AI applications in Amazon shopping experience and how Amazon's sort of building its own AI, its own personalized experience where it's really prioritizing the personalization of each shopping experience presented for users. So the number one thing to speak to here, and this is actually a similar feature you'll see appearing in search generative experience for product-based searches, where you have the product results. Amazon's adding to overall enhancement of shopping experience. So basically, sort of this virtual shopping experience where users get a much better idea of if the product's a good fit for them, right? Allowing them to have quick information, which is designed to have a really strong impact specifically on Amazon reviews, how important reviews are, how likely people are to see them. Another thing, and this is similar to search generative experience in its approach as well, sort of having aggregate reviews. So there's aggregate answers to questions where Google pull from various sources to answer a query-based search from users in Google. Likewise, we have AI-generated customer reviews for Amazon. So users can have a better idea of more holistic, rather than going through thousands of reviews or even hundreds of reviews, what is overall response from various reviews as far as this product goes. And the last thing to keep in mind is a stronger emphasis on positive or negative reviews as it pertains to a store or product. So again, making sure users have a much stronger impact and influence on how likely a product is to rank in Amazon searches, and making sure users see that more quickly within specific product-based shopping experiences. So a couple of ways AI can play a role in likely improving your performance in Amazon efforts. Again, Amazon is actively experiencing with generative AI that's geared toward sellers, right, not buyers. So making sure you take that into mind with any interactions you have with users, product-based platform. Making sure we're building on keywords as traditional, but at the same time, make sure they're appropriately incorporated throughout content on the page. Making sure you're really prioritizing the human-based reviews. So again, going back with experience, with search generative experience, and contrast with that, the importance of human experience and human reviews within Amazon-based products, and making sure we're incorporating that into our shopping experience. And last item, content restrictions. So sellers have to provide accurate product descriptions, avoid duplicate listings in order to make sure that their unique and variant SKUs are more likely to rank as opposed to competing with each other and being more likely to be penalized from ranking through things like duplicate experience. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and pass it over to our Amazon product place expert, Manish here.
So Amazon has officially kicked off the holiday season with the Prime Day going on yesterday and today. The results are still pouring in. Our teams are collecting data from different clients, different verticals, and we're also using a wide range of market research tools to understand what the trends are for each vertical and each product segment. That being said, so far, I think based on results from day one, some of the key insights are the overall average order value on Amazon right now is trending a little lower than what we saw back in the summer. But the good thing is it is up compared to last year's Prime Day, which was in October. This is important because it may be an indication of what's to come next month and the month of December. And we may expect the overall average order value trend to trend slightly higher compared to last year. Again, the second thing that we're seeing is around the average order value and the price point. This might change once we have more data flowing in today and with Amazon's delayed attribution. But overall, what we're seeing is majority of the deals where products are selling through really well are priced under $20. And as the price point increases, the number of deals have been fewer on Amazon so far. The key takeaway here is what we're also seeing is about 55% of the customers who have shopped on Amazon have done some sort of a comparison with other retailers or brand websites. This is an important takeaway because as we plan for the upcoming weeks, there is a certain level of synergy between your D2C sales and Amazon sales. But there are signs that it is not just people who are on Amazon who are comparing it to vendors within Amazon, but there is also comparison happening between different ad platforms and different walled gardens. So if you are a brand that has presence on both the D2C side and on the Amazon side, it might make sense to have a very strong strategy around pricing across both the platforms. And there could be some interesting tactics to essentially win market share between the platforms, depending on your margin and your profit data. These are just the initial trends. Like I said, our team continues to research and gather more data. and we will be releasing some of the updates later in the week as well. On the next slide is what we've been using very effectively over 8+ years now. This is the NetElixir's e-commerce marketing calendar. And what this essentially does is, based on NetElixir's experience from about 20 years now in the e-commerce space, we have identified a lot of trends that may be important as you start planning your marketing promotions. I'm hoping that a lot of you on the call today have already ironed out your marketing plans. But if not, then I think this is probably a good time to consider a calendar like this. So what you're seeing here is a color coding for different weeks and different days in November and December. And the way to use this calendar is anything that is in red are the days where we expect competition to be very high. The CPCs or the CPMs will definitely trend on the higher side on these days. And understandably, the year-over-year increase in sales may not be that big. We are expecting or predicting somewhere between 6 to 10% of year-over-year increase in revenue on these days. The days that are colored in orange are the ones where there'll be moderate competition. You can expect upwards of 10% year-over-year increase in sales. And these are the days when the CPCs may not be too high. So you may have a good playing field in terms of your acquisition campaigns and your retargeting campaigns. The days in green are the ones where competition is expected to be very low. But understandably, there might be brands, a lot of brands who are trying to capitalize on this. These are your upper funnel campaigns or mid funnel campaigns that will be doing most of the action on these days. The idea here, or the recommendation we have, is leverage these days, leverage the low CPCs and the CPMs on these days, and try to bring in some of those early conversions. That may require you to relook at your promotion strategy as well. And again, as you can see, we have extended this all the way to the end of the year. It is not done, around Cyber Monday. As you know, the holiday deals and holiday shopping extends all the way to the end of the year. So have a plan that includes both the months. And we made this available for download as well. And Sam, the next slide, if you want to talk about the holiday consultation, pass it back to you.
Yeah, of course. So we'll, as we go into questions, so please drop them into the chat box. We'll be happy to answer them now. You could schedule a holiday readiness consultation with us by scanning that QR code that's on the screen. And Silas, I believe most of these questions are so far for you. We've got, what do you mean by more shared experience of searchers?
So one thing that's very useful is, say you have theoretically the availability for video product reviews. And if that video product or that video review is left by a verified purchaser of a product, something like that will be a lot more prioritized as far as having expertise and authority. First-hand account content when it's available on site. So if you have any type of verified buyer, verified user of a product or service that leaves that in video form and content form, in a blog on site. So say there's a site that has a blog where the blog is written, posted by someone that's actually used and reviewed the product. That type of content will have strong prioritization now in the eyes of Google. That's where we have experience come into play. Google sees this person's used the product. They have this quality content that they're leaving as a review. If it's rich content like video, even better. That obviously is not an option that's available readily for a lot of sites, but sort of a pinnacle of what you could strive toward as far as in your line of thinking, how can we have more user-generated content from verified users or buyers of products and services?
Great. We also have, what is an algorithm update? Is that different from an algorithm or core updates?
No, algorithm update. That was me just speaking quickly, probably. No, an algorithm update is just any change in Google's search functions.
Perfect. And we do have a question from Pat. How do you think SGE will impact paid advertising on Google?
Now, there's an interesting question. Again, for those searches where Google serves SGE, and at this point, it doesn't serve search generative experience search function for all searches, only those searches where it feels it's necessary or potentially helpful to the searcher. But for those searches where it's served, yes, it will push down all traditional organic searches and all paid. Those will be pushed below the fold. So paid ads won't be as likely to be clicked in the traditional sense. However, within search engine experience, for those searches that are transactional in search intent, you'll still have sponsored product ads appearing possibly below the paragraph of the aggregate response where Google sort of amalgamated content from 3 sources, but below that will still be listed products related to searches. So sponsored ads, organic product search results will still be getting those clicks just through the medium of search generative experience, as opposed to the more traditional paid ad that's now been pushed down the fold. So it will impact what gets clicked. And again, for those searches where it's actually served by Google, it'll definitely have an impact on likelihood of being clicked, but that doesn't mean that your paid ads won't still be gaining clicks and interaction. And in fact, I don't have data to back this now, but I would say users that are doing a query-based search result that also see a product popping up in the search engine experience, the ones that click that sponsored product search results are probably a lot more likely to convert once on site as opposed to maybe some traditional paid ads.
Great. So thank you, everyone. That's all we have for today. We'll be sending through the webinar most likely tomorrow. And please, if you haven't done so already, we'd be happy. Oh, we do have a hand. Schedule a complimentary holiday readiness consultation. Thank you so much, everyone.